conference in Mexico City. And I can just imagine there'll be a few business class seats booked to...
Councillor, I'm just going Councillor, I will chair this, thank you.
Yeah.
I think, can we just stick to the issues in front of us before we, go into the second guessing of who might go to what? I actually have no idea what you're referring to. Let's stick to the issue now. The decisions on any future travel are, as they always will be, in our hands. So can we just stick to the issue, please?
I'm just trying to debate. It's kind of a debating item that I think is important, that it's mentioned in the document that in 2016 there is a conference of the C40 group in Mexico City. And obviously, if we're part of the C40, we'll be there along with all the other participants.
You?
No, I don't think it can be me, Councillor Cracks, but it will be, it just shows that we've gone up a notch, and I think that we should be really concentrating on the knitting, working with ICLEI, and let's get our house in order before we start getting into the big boys league by joining the C40. So I might be supporting this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wood. So that's no. And Councillor Crum.
I too won't be supporting this for three reasons. One is that I am struggling to see the context of this in our wider context, and Councillor Wood has referred to this, other memberships that we've got. Where's our integrated look? As a first-term councillor, we've had a little bit of a debate on sister city stuff, and I think we've got 16 active sister cities, but a lot of others sitting in the background. We've had the tripartite commitment, and I will talk a little bit about that, since as I accompanied the delegation to that in May this year, and personally back it and still do. But here's the difference between the tripartite economic summit and this, is that we have one heck of an emphasis on tracking deals done in that tripartite summit. We've seen it here in committee. You've heard from businesses themselves sitting there about their quite literally millions of dollars of investments, economic injection into our city as a result of that particular alliance. I'd also note, and it's been mentioned several times, that this is going to enhance our relationship with LA and Guangzhou. Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I've looked at the program for May when we host the tripartite summit back here, and I don't see a climate change strand there. I see some other strands where we're highlighting and picking up businesses in LA, Guangzhou and here, but not that strand. So how we can focus on that tripartite relationship as a underpinning for this, I'm a little lost on that. Councillor Brewer, totally agree with your reference to, as governors, we do need to focus on the word climate, but in this sense, it's the climate of ratepayers and what they are able to take on board at this point in time. And my third thing that I would say is that this report does address financial information. We asked for that, that's correct. But if you see in paragraph 6, it's no membership fee, limited staff time, limited expenditure, no additional funding. So the assumption for me is that it's becoming that to be, and I quote again, internationally recognised for barrier breaking climate work. That's what we'd have to do. We'd have to be, it would demand we have high performance thresholds, and we'd have to be globally innovative. That's some really high threshold language there. So there's an assumption in this report that there's no expenditure for us, but we're going to have to perform like that. So where does the cost come in, and how does it come in? And my last point is that why aren't we focusing on what we've got? So the report also says work is underway, this is us, to implement low carbon Auckland. A number of actions may rise to an innovative level. So let's cock our own stuff first before we're into forced club membership.
Thank you. I'm going to call on Councillor Cashmore for his right of reply. Councillor Cashmore.
Yes, thanks, Madam Chair. I'll be very, very brief. We can look back at ICLEI, which is a generation old now, or we can look forward to what we could learn from the new cities that are probably leading the way in this day and age. Maybe ICLAI will evolve into C40 or disappear completely. This is an iterative process that's going forward. We can either show some leadership and be on the front foot. You know, the world is changing at an ever-increasing pace. And you can stand by and watch it go past, or we can join our sister cities overseas. Yeah, I'm not a great one for travelling overseas. I can't stand it, quite frankly. It's hard on the body and hard on the mind. But we can do a lot of this stuff by sitting at screens. We don't have to travel. The penny pinching attitudes, oh, we can't afford to do this, it looks bad on Facebook. Well, I think we need to grow up beyond that. This is a chance for us to actually show the success of things like our tripartite arrangement, which has earned into 8 figures now. Wish I could give the absolute details, but I can't. So there is opportunity to tie a lot of these things together. And the staff have given us some examples, and this is a process going forward that we can embrace for Auckland's benefit.
Thank you, councillors. We've had 3 speakers in support, 3 consecutive speakers against, and...
Point of order, Madam Chair. I've had my hand up to ask a question.
Well, councillor, we've had the 3 speakers in support and 3 speakers
Mine is
against,
a
and I'm
question of
constantly exhorted to stick to standing orders, and I will. So I'm going to put the recommendation.
Division.
All those in
Division.
favour,
Division.
we're going to do it by division. That's fine.
That's unfair. Councillor Fletcher's hardly said anything this
My
morning.
question was to Mr Quinn.
Well, the issue is councillors, and we can change it.
Why
But
not
I'm
have the question?
constantly told that we wish to stick to standing orders. I'm getting advice from Tam, 3 speakers for, 3 speakers against, the question is put. And we just either stick with what we've agreed, or we make exceptions consistently and then blow out to the $20,000 an hour that was all over Facebook last week. I think we just need to be a little bit consistent here. So I'm going to put it by division.
Councillor Brewer?
Against.
What's the point?
Councillor Casey?
Yes.
Councillor Cashmore?
For
Councillor Darby?
For.
Councillor Filipina?
Aye.
Councillor Fletcher?
Okay.
Councillor Crum?
Against.
Member Namani?
Aye.
Councillor Penrose?
Aye.
Councillor Quacks?
No.
Councillor Stewart?
No.
Member Taipari?
For.
Councillor Wayne Walker?
Yes.
Councillor Watson?
For.
Councillor Webster?
Against.
Councillor Wood?
No.
Deputy Mayor House?
Aye.
It is carried to
Thank you.
9-7.
So on that point, we will adjourn for our lunch, and then we'll return for the confidential
David, you'll be in Mexico City.
section. So,
Oh, yeah.
very much.